joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Enough jumps, the middle finger, make my Jaeger just a little.
Hello and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut on this January 31st. The last day of January, very bitter cold last day of January as the deep freeze of winter comes back again after the Arctic blast from last week came and went. We get another shot of it with was it the first time ever, a snow squall, or first in a long time, snow squall in Connecticut. Interesting weather out there, I'll tell you that much. But we are here 6:30 to 7. We're back after our week off. We took the bye week off with the football after the championship games, and now we're ready for the Super Bowl, getting ready to break it down, talk about what happened last week. But it is a good show because not only are we back, but we get my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Rod Jr., back in his correct hot seat behind the camera.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Welcome back, Cotter, right over there. How's it going there, Bob? Nice to see you where you belong.
It happens only once in a blue moon, but I think we might be back to doing this on a regular basis.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's not jump the gun. The reason that Bob is back in the correct seat, not because our more recent director is back, Mike Toohey, he's still long gone. Not because evil director Kevin Gallagher, a Chiefs fan, by the way,
right.
who,
of all things,
who I did talk to, and I got some things to say about that. He's not back. Our original director, David Suero, DJ Malo, El Diablo, a.k.a. Darkness, has returned to the show. And that is good news. Great to see him, and he's back. He's learning the new system on the fly, but we know he's got skills in there, and he's going to handle it. No problem. Bob's Show, of course, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. You can look for that on Channel 23 and also on the interweb out there in various forms. And, of course, we have to mention his daughter Jenna is running audio. No signs of Tyler this week after his Saints lost in the NFC Championship game. We thought he was coming back.
Hopefully he didn't go on the bridge like
a strange man who is here, sitting behind Bob, lurking over Bob's shoulder.
I'm in the cheap seats.
He's in the cheap seats.
He's in the cheap seats. So we have multiple things happening. Of course, we're live 203-792-4101. I also got to mention that the final encore presentation of Fatty Roots Live and Direct, the reggae concert film produced by myself, is this Saturday night at 10 o'clock right here on Channel 23. You can also find that out on YouTube and search it out. Great reviews on it. Everybody's enjoyed it. It's been a good showing. Fourth and final showing of this iteration of it is this Saturday night at 10 o'clock. All right, let's give Strange Man his minute to talk here for a second. What do you got back there, Strange Man? You got some updates on what the predictions from your neighbors, I guess it was?
Yeah, my friends. Okay, my friend Richard Cooper, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's a good guy. He's a big football fan. He watches the show. He predicted the Patriots over the Chiefs. He was right. And the Rams over the Saints.
He had them both.
So the Rams over the Saints, the early game, and then the Patriots over the Chiefs. He had them both. And he knows football. He's a good guy. But my buddy Jimmy Silva, he didn't do so good.
Oh?
He did go Rams over the Saints.
Wow, both of your buddies picked the Rams.
But he chose the Chiefs over the Pats 31-27, and the Pats beat the Chiefs. Way to go, Pats!
37-31. The Chiefs did score 31 points, but they needed overtime, and the Patriots got past them 37-31 there. So that sets up Super Bowl LII 53. What else you got there, Steve?
And one final thing before I let Big Bob, Godzilla, we nicknamed Godzilla because he's so big. Listen, the government broke down, but at least the Grinch and Mr. Scrooge didn't do a major toy recall yet. Now that we are approximately 36 days past Christmas.
Okay. All right. And I think the shutdown was, what was it, 34, 35? Did it get to 36 days? It was pretty long.
It was very close.
All right, so Super Bowl LII. Let's go right, since we had Strangeman, and I'm going to touch on one of his stats of the week. All 4 of the highest scoring teams met in the conference finals for the first time ever. So that NFC AFC Championship Sunday was Saints Rams and Patriots Chiefs. Those were the 4 highest scoring teams in the NFL this year. And in that game, remember we talked about the super blood wolf moon with the lunar eclipse?
It was very dark that night.
It was cold in Kansas City. There was the super blood wolf moon. There was a lunar eclipse that took place.
Right.
Not only that, a meteorite hit the moon that evening.
I know. I saw that the next day on...
Unbelievable. And it was on Martin Luther King observed 90th birthday was the day after that. So, of course, we like that. All right, Super Bowl LII. This is a rematch. Patriots-Rams. This time, it's the Rams back in Los Angeles.
Right.
Not in St. Louis where they were when they met in previous years. So it's, again, a Boston-LA situation where you're talking BLA from the Boston side. We know the history goes way back all the way to the 60s when the Celtics and the Lakers met up all those times. Eventually in the 80s, the BLA chants broke out in the Boston Garden when Bird and Magic were going at it. And actually those chants broke out when the Pistons, I believe, beat the Celtics. The Celtic fans still wanted LA to lose, so they were chanting beat LA at that point. And there's been a lot of history there. And then it was rekindled, if you remember, not that long ago.
Yes, it was.
Just the Fall Classic with the Red Sox and the Dodgers. So LA certainly is going to want...
No stranger to...
Yeah, and they're going to want some recent revenge situation coming up for them, as fresh in their minds is the Red Sox winning the World Series against the Dodgers. And, of course, all the battles that took place between Celtics and Lakers over history in different generations as well. 80s, 2000s, 60s, 70s. So it's been a long rivaled, storied history between these two cities with sports.
But never so much, I don't think, with hockey, though, right?
No, well, the LA Kings came in the, late 80s, and the Bruins didn't make it during those times. The Kings, interestingly enough, I thought that was the year that the Bruins would make it to the finals.
Right.
The team that they could never get by in the early 90s was the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Right.
And that was the year the Islanders upset the Penguins, but Grant Fuhr stood on his head for the Buffalo Sabres and beat the Bruins, who had lost to the Penguins. They were a great team then, but they could never get past the Penguins.
Right.
And I predicted that the Islanders actually would upset the Penguins, opening the door for the Bruins, but instead they lost to the Sabres, and the Montreal Canadiens faced the LA Kings in the finals with Gretzky playing that. And that was the last time that the Canadiens ever won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, which
early 90s.
Yeah.
And the Canadiens, of course, are the most storied franchise in NHL history. A little sidetrack. Speaking of history, Bob, you led me down that road.
Yeah.
But no history between the Bruins and the Kings.
Yeah.
But plenty
I'm
elsewhere.
very, surprised, which is, that's a...
we know the Kings have been in plenty of times since.
Right.
And won in recent years, and the Bruins were in twice in recent years, winning once. But they did not match up with them. So the Patriots and the Rams rematch, interesting also because last year's Super Bowl was a rematch from one of the Patriots' first Super Bowl victories.
Right.
They beat the Eagles in their third go-around when they won those 3 out of 4 in the early 2000s. And the Rams was the team they won first. And that was at the time the largest. I don't know if there's been since then. I don't think there has been, but the spread in that game was like 17 points in favor of the Rams. Patriots had never won anything before. They had the 2 trips previously when they lost to the Bears and they lost to the Packers in their first 2 go-rounds. But then they came back, and Brady was unknown. He was, took over for Bledsoe in that famous game against the Jets when Mo Lewis knocked Bledsoe out with that vicious hit on the sideline, led to the internal bleeding for Bledsoe, and Brady came in. Patriots lost that game. Interesting also, if we're talking history, side note, because of course in the playoffs that year, the tuck rule became famous because the Raiders and the Patriots played that game where the tuck rule came into vogue. But in that game that Brady came in and took over for Bledsoe, the Jets won that game on the only touchdown that was scored in that game happened on a drive when Vinny Testaverde had the tuck rule go in his favor for the Jets. So Jet fans should have been aware of that call because they won that game on a similar call before that game, that rule was made famous in that Raiders-Patriots game. And that was also the first game played after 9/11.
It was.
That Jets-Patriots game, the first weekend of games played. Everybody else was back in action as well. And it was also, that year was kind of like the Patriots came in and, the red, white, and blue colors, America. A lot of people felt they got the calls maybe, and it was a good story for America and the NFL for the patriotic Patriots to win, come out of nowhere. Who knows about that sort of thing? Of course, also things that took place more down the road when Spygate came in years later. Everybody went back and said that the Patriots taped the walkthrough of the Rams practice the day before the Super Bowl. That was investigated not only by the NFL, but by a Senate committee.
Right.
Remember, what was it? Arlen Specter, the Pennsylvania senator, who was upset that the Patriots beat his Eagles.
Yeah.
He dug deep. No proof ever was found that took place.
Right.
And the Rams, apparently, during that walkthrough, did mostly walkthroughs on their red zone activity for the game.
Right.
They only made it to the red zone once in that game. So if the Patriots did tape it, and right here we see some Rams history. Oh, wait, is that the Rams in real life or on the big screen TV? The only time the LA Rams ever won a Super Bowl, of course, the St. Louis Rams won, beating the Titans, but led by the actor in Heaven Can Wait.
Yes.
The Rams did win the Super Bowl.
Yes, that's right, they did.
They beat the Steelers, who the year later, after this movie, they lost to the Steelers in 79-80 season as the Steelers won their fourth Super Bowl of the 70s. Although the game was played in 1980, it was the 79 season. So they did win it.
Right.
Before winning it for real in St. Louis. But there was never any proof of that, if you want to bring that up.
Right.
So it was the largest upset. Patriots won that 20-17. So the Rams will look to get some revenge of that. It was the dawn of the Brady-Belichick era, so now it's the first of what they ended up winning 3 out of 4 in that first go-round in the early 2000s, beating the Rams, beating the Panthers, beating the Eagles. If the Rams do win this Super Bowl, you think the Panthers are going to be thinking, well, it's going to be our turn next to get back because the Eagles got them last year.
I don't think that's going to be that good of a.
That would be amazing. Of course, this is now Brady has won 5 of 8 overall with Belichick in this 17 year. This game is going to be played, as a matter of fact, on the day, 17 years to the day of that game that was played against the Rams back in 2002, of the 2001-2002 season. 17 years to the day.
From what I heard today, he has one more year on his contract.
Right.
So
he wants to play till he's 45. He's 41 right now.
What's the oldest quarterback
to win a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Or to play? I don't have that in front of me, so I can't say for sure. But I mean, he's got to be. No one's won at this age the Super Bowl. So this is their 9th in the for the Patriots with Brady and Belichick. 11 overall. As we remember, they lost to the Bears. Here we got them winning the Panthers in a great game. That was. They lost to the Packers in the Desmond Howard game.
Back in the 80s, was it Grogan, right?
Grogan. But remember, that was Tony Eason.
Yeah.
Was and Grogan came in late in the season because Eason went down with injury, and they mistakenly put Eason back in for the Super Bowl when they should have rolled the hot hand, much like the Patriots did when when Bledsoe went down. They rode the hot hand because Brady came in, led them to the Super Bowl. They stayed with him. And instead, they went back to Eason, and he got crushed.
Right.
Grogan finished that game against the Bears when they lost that against the Super Bowl Shuffle Bears in '86.
Yeah, that was the year of the refrigerator.
Right. Remember that? Walter Payton did not get to score a touchdown, but the fridge, Perry, did. That was, Walter Payton, rest in peace, one of the greats of all time.
That was the first year of the actually starting the when they started doing these all kind of what do they call them?
Well, they did the video, of course, the Super Bowl Shuffle, the music video.
But that's what basically when they all started.
Some of the craziness that goes along with the NFL now.
Yeah.
So, and then the LA Rams lost to the Steelers. We mentioned 31-19, a game they were winning in the third quarter of that. And then they beat the Titans on the play right at the very end. Steve McNair, another rest in peace situation. But that was a game, and that game was played in Atlanta, '99. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and there was an ice storm, which they had a little weather yesterday. I don't think it turned out to be so bad in '99. And also, I can't believe I have not heard anybody mention the fact that this was also 20 years ago, Ray Lewis getting away with murder. I wonder if Ray is going to break out the bloody white suit on any of his TV appearances this week, as he is, of course, a TV personality.
Right.
Break out the bloody white suit, Ray, that you got rid of, getting rid of the evidence. Ray did get off on murder, but he did pay that huge civil suit against the family of the people who were killed by his guys. That was a good time. I bartended 2 Super Bowl parties, including Bruce Smith's Super Bowl party, and that was crazy.
John Elway is the oldest at 38 years old.
Well, Brady won 2 years ago at age 39.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was 38 at that time. I don't know.
Up to that, it was Elway.
Elway, okay. Yeah, and Elway then rode out in the distance. So, there's definitely history here. The predictions this week, speaking of TV personalities, have been mixed. The Rams opened as a favorite in this game right away, right after the 2 games ended at -1, I believe it was. It quickly switched to the Patriots, and it's pretty much stayed at -2.5 Patriots. So it's sat there for close to 2 weeks. It might go to 3 by the time Super Bowl comes around. I think there's a good mixture of people picking both teams in this game. It could go either way. We'll break it down a little bit. Let's talk about what happened though in NFC and AFC championships. It's close to 2 weeks away.
Both games went overtime, which was very.
I think that was the first time that ever happened, that the AFC and NFC championships went to overtime. Saints, of course, lost at home to the Rams 26-23, a game marred by controversy with the officials at the very end.
Terrible.
I mean, they blew one of the worst. I mean, you throw that around, that was the worst call I ever saw quite often, and sometimes it actually fits, and that was one of the worst calls ever, as the defender admittedly after the game said he was beat on the play, and instead of giving up the touchdown, he decided to commit a penalty, pass interference, and he also targeted the guy's head. And they didn't get either one of the calls, and the ref was standing right there. We should have some shots of the play. And look, the ref is looking right at the play. What is he looking at as the defender comes in, takes out my namesake, Lewis, right there on the play, and breaks up the pass, got there way early, and that would have set up 1st and goal for the Saints. They could have run the clock down and kicked a game-winning field goal.
Right.
You can't always just call it down to one play makes a difference. I mean, basically it came down to the call, the kicks. The Rams then had to go and answer the field goal situation and kick a 48-yarder to force overtime. Right. Then they had to withstand the fact that the Saints won the toss, had the ball first, and they came up with an interception on the play. And, And then Greg had the leg. Zerline kicked a 57-yarder in overtime to win it. I thought he was taking a big risk having him kick that field goal because if he doesn't,
I mean, that was a great kick. I mean,
57-yarder to win it. I mean, we know it's in a dome, but at the same time, if you miss that kick, the Saints then have the ball at the 47-yard line,
right?
And they'll be able to get one or two plays to get a game-winning kick of their own. But he did nail it. There was also the coaching decisions. The Saints made bad decisions. I mentioned it the week before that Sean Payton tried to blow the game with some decisions he made against the Eagles, but the Eagles made mistakes of their own. But he made some coaching decision mistakes. He was throwing the ball before that play at the end there. They should have been running the ball anyways and burning clock and forcing the Rams to burn timeouts. But they did not do that, and they kept going with the pass. So the Rams had timeout left, and they had time on the clock left. So the Saints also were to blame for that. I thought the Rams' defense early in the game kept the Rams in it because offensively they struggled early, and the Saints drove a bunch of times, but they had to settle for field goals.
There were some beautiful gut plays, but
they had to settle for field goals in the first half, and instead of having a much bigger lead, it was still within striking distance for the Rams as they settled for those field goals instead of getting touchdowns. And then the offense finally got going.
What were we in?
And they came back. How much time do we have? Are we burning through the time or no?
Yeah. What we got left?
They came back and they eventually got the call from the refs.
Okay.
And they gave them time, and they tied it and forced the overtime and won it in OT. So you have to give the Rams credit. I thought watching that Eagles game the week before, and I said it right here on the show, that if I were the Rams watching that Eagles-Saints game, that I would have been kind of licking my chops because I didn't think the Saints played that well down the stretch of the season. They didn't play that great in the Eagles game. They fell behind early. They had to rally, and then they almost blew it after they rallied, and they made some dubious decisions in that game. And then they also were burned. Remember, they went for it on fourth down, the fake punt against the Eagles. The Rams did to them what they did to the Eagles. As they were struggling early in the game, they went for it on a fourth down punt, fake punt situation. So the Rams really stepped up when they had to on the road, and they got it done. And, of course, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, stays silent on the call. We're already to 5 minutes, Brian. We went through a lot of history.
Yeah, we did.
And he eventually said something in his press conference, but, I mean, please, waited long enough to do that as 2 weeks went by, basically, before he said anything about the call and if they were going to look into making any rule changes. I mean, come on. But the Patriots and the Chiefs in another thrilling game. Patriots were up early at this game 14-0, shutting out that high-octane Chiefs offense. 0 points in the first half. They were up 17-7 after the third quarter, and then all holy heck broke loose. As the offenses both got going, specifically the Chiefs. In the fourth quarter, the Chiefs outscored the Patriots 24-14, and the Patriots had to rally from behind after the Chiefs took the lead late in that game, and the Patriots forced overtime with another touchdown of their own. And in this game, another stat, I got two stats. I got one of my own, and I got another Strange Man here.
Yeah, and I have a Strange Man thing too.
All right, we'll get to it quick then, because we're going to run out of time fast.
Yeah.
Brady threw an interception in this game for the first time, 237 completions in a row in the playoffs before throwing an interception, and he threw that down at the goal line when they had a chance to go up 14-0 early. They really could have run away with it fast, but he threw that interception in the end zone trying to connect with Gronk. My other stat of the week, and this one also features Gronk, the Patriots ran a whopping 94 offensive plays in that game, which is a huge number.
That is great. That is big.
7 players on the Patriots offense played all 94 plays. The 5 linemen, Brady, and the off-the-line, everybody says he's washed up. He doesn't have anything left in the tank. Rob Gronkowski played 94 plays on offense in that game, and he was targeted 11 times, which was the most targets he's had in a game since the Super Bowl of last year against the Eagles. So I've been a little bit fired up about my man Gronk, proving the naysayers wrong. He's been blocking. He's been coming up big. He had some huge catches as they did some huge things on third downs. 3 third and 10 conversions in overtime on that game-winning drive against the Chiefs. What do you got from Strange Man?
Okay, this is all
Make
about
it quick, Bob.
This is about the Westerners.
Oh yeah. Okay, so at the Palace Arena this weekend?
No, it's March 3rd. It's the day after Connor's birthday.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be 2 shows. The first show is about the rookie, and the second show is going to be about the Field of Dreams. It's free admission. It's at the Palace Theater, 165 Main Street. They're going to have raffles, vendors. They're having a baseball card photo booth.
Okay.
We're also giving away free packs of baseball cards for both showings.
Nice. They're showing the movies, right?
Movies, right?
The Rookie and Field of Dreams, 2 great movies at the Palace Theater, a great theater.
Wesley will be on hand. There'll be all types of stuff to go on with it.
All right, let's get back to some other.
And big thing is, the Westerners have another player going to the Yankees.
Who's that?
Adam Octavio.
Okay.
He played for the Westerners in 2004. 2010, he got picked up by the Cardinals.
Wow. All right, Bob, we'll get to more of that stuff in the coming weeks.
Yes.
So Brady becomes the first quarterback to win 3 overtime games in the postseason, winning that famous game against the Raiders, of course, the comeback against the Falcons, and now this one against the Chiefs on the road in the bitter cold. The Patriots also become the only team besides the Miami Dolphins of the early 70s to go to 3 straight Super Bowls. They're trying to become the first team since the Dolphins to win a Super Bowl after losing the year before.
Right.
So some keys. We only got a minute left. I mean, it's going to be a battle of 2 good offensive lines. Patriots, Rams defensive line. You got Donald and Sue coming at them. What are you trying to? You're pointing at me there, Bob. What do you think?
We got 30 seconds. So.
All right, go to the predictions. Who do you like?
I like the Patriots.
You're going with the Patriots, huh?
Because you got to go with a favorite on this.
I'm going with the young upstart. I'm going to pick the upset in this game. I think it's going to be a deja vu all over again. The Eagles got their revenge last year. I think the Rams are going to exact some revenge this year. I didn't think the Patriots were a Super Bowl team this year. They're playing their best football of the year right now.
Because the average thing is 400 to 1 if you can get the exact.
I think it's going to be new versus old. Sean McVay teaches the old master Bill Belichick, and he pulls it off late. All right, we're out of here.
She's that dream of my desire. She's the one fueling the fire. I see her standing there wanting lust fills the air. I feel hesitant but wedging.